Let's see what these atheists have to say about the origin of the first single-celled organisms.
Despite everybody correcting him, he still says that, well, you believe, evolutionists believe we came from a rock, except that no evolutionist ever believed that. Nobody, not one, not ever.
This scientific paper says here that you can see, it says life and rocks may have co-evolved on Earth. And it goes on to say that rocks beget life. Right there. So when people get online and they say nobody believes that life descended from rocks, it shows that this guy hasn't done the most basic of research, He needs to definitely go look at some scientific articles and papers.
And instead resort to your typical misrepresentations of science, like claiming I think life came from a rock, no matter how many times I explain to you that those are stupid things to say.
I love how he admits that it's a stupid thing to say, that life descended from a rock. They're admitting that if somebody actually believes that it's a crazy belief system. And here's the thing, they actually believe that, whether they realize it or not. And I'm actually going to show you the scientific papers. We'll just go through just a few of them and show you that this is what they believe. They may not understand the fundamentals of their faith, but it is something that they do believe, is that life descended from rocks.
No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe we came from rocks.
And yet you have mineralogists and geologists and different scientists getting together and telling us that rocks beget life. So it's a bold-faced lie for these atheist YouTubers out there to get online and say, well, nobody believes that life came from a rock. That's a creationist straw man. And they'll accuse us of lying. Well, they themselves are lying just by saying that, because it is basic knowledge on the origin of life research. Here's another paper, Genesis, Rocks, Minerals, and the Geochemical Origin of Life. So again, this is a paper on the origin of life. You can see it right there. If you read on in this paper, it says, researchers on the origin of life now conclude that rocks and minerals must have played key roles in virtually every phase of life's emergence. The theory is that rocks were rained on and minerals were eroded from those rocks, and then we came into existence based on those minerals getting eroded and rearranging themselves into elements that would make it so that life could come into existence. That is the fundamental of their faith. It's the fundamental of the origin of life from an atheistic perspective. And the fact that they admit that it is so stupid to believe that life came from a rock, nobody believes that. To me, they're admitting that their own belief system is crazy. So this is what they are saying. I mean, you've got another paper that is titled, You Owe Your Life to Rock. So it says here that erosion of metal-rich granite long ago set the stage for multicellular organisms. How interesting. I love the way that this one starts out. Starts out by saying, thank goodness for granite.
Bruh.
These scientists are saying, don't thank God for life. Thank your granite grandfather rock. Because if it wasn't for him, this unconscious rock that was rained on and had minerals come out of it, then we wouldn't have even come into existence. We wouldn't have even been conceived. Yeah, it's just so interesting to me that that's how this paper starts out. Thank goodness for granite. I mean, it just makes you laugh when you look at this, because it's mind-blowing that anyone could possibly buy into it. And atheists go on and on about how that it's superstitious to believe in the devil and to believe in Satan, while they simultaneously buy into the biggest lies that only Satan could give them. The fact that they could be so deceived and so manipulated and so tricked into believing something so ridiculous is proof of Satan's existence. But anyways,
I think that if they believe they came from a rock, they're not following science. Science is what we can observe and know. What do we know? It comes from the Latin word seer.
No, and once again, see right there, evolution does not say that we came from a rock.
Bruh.
He's just parroting what he's heard from all of the other atheist YouTubers. This guy has obviously never researched it himself, because if he did, he would realize that the fundamental of the origin of life involves rock being rained on. That the fundamental of their faith is that rocks were what brought life into existence, the minerals that were contained therein. This is their side that they don't even understand. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Why do you keep saying evolution is, we claim that we came from rock? It's not what the majority of people that believe in evolution, it's not what they believe at all. It's not what they say.
It absolutely is what they say. I mean, have you ever looked at a scientific journal on the origin of life? Have you ever looked at a scientific paper on the origin of the first single-celled organisms?
Bruh.
If they're going to be wrong about something as simple as the origin of life from an atheistic perspective, if they're going to be wrong about basic biology, what makes you think that they're going to be correct about, say, advanced genetics or advanced biology, for example? They're going to be wrong on almost everything.
The materials that eventually formed this organic matter that formed into what we consider life came from the water hitting the rock and the surface of the earth.
Nobody believes we came from a rock, yet the materials that eventually formed into life came from the rock being hit by water on the surface of the earth. The fact that they're embarrassed that they believe that life descended from rocks should tell us that we should boldly defend our faith and stand up for Jesus and what we believe in. You know, they will mock the virgin birth, yet they believe that a rock conceived. They think it's crazy that Mary conceived, but they think that rocks, which were non-living altogether, somehow were rained on, eroded, and formed themselves into multicellular life. What a joke, you know? What a joke.
What I've noticed about Matt Powell in particular, because I've made more videos about Matt than I have about Ken, is that whenever Matt says something and I think, right, that's clearly a load of crap, so let me find out exactly what it should be. Whenever he says anything, I can almost always only find any reference to that thing he cited on a creationist science website.
Wow!
Every single scientific paper that I'm citing, whether it's in a debate or in a seminar, most of the time it is a secular journal. Most of the time it is the Origin of Life research team, right? That they're taking it from a perspective that's without God. This has nothing to do with creation science. Smithsonian magazine that talks about rocks begetting life. Yeah, that is a secular magazine. These are secular sources. These have nothing to do with Christianity.
I'll read the paper, but I'm asking you right now, how does a rock conceive?
You tell me. I don't believe that it did. I find it intriguing how some of these guys that have a very big following, they will just make these blanket statements. Nobody believes we came from a rock. Nobody believes that, Matt. When you can just easily look it up.
They want to make believe this alternative reality.
It's like with Matt Powell, I am convinced that he knows that he's speaking nonsense.
You mentioned he's been corrected by so many different people. When has he ever said, okay, well, I was wrong about that?
No, he doesn't do that.
Change his position. Right, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He'll be corrected about the same thing over and over and over again and keep repeating what he knows to be wrong. They're not interested in truth. They know that. Matt Powell's a professional liar. He knows everything he says is wrong. He doesn't care. It's a make-believe thing.